So here we are, Shubh Vilas. It's such a beautiful day, ominous of a beautiful chat with you. Thank you for this fabulous book, this fabulous idea to reveal all your secrets on friendship. I had the privilege of seeing the rapport you shared with the author, Christopher Doyle, and I really hope that I will have the honor of sharing this friendship with you as well going forward.
Thank you very much, Nishaji, for doing this Insta Live and for sharing it on practically all your platforms. And it's such a pleasure and honor to be with you on this very special discussion and something that only somebody like you can think about, a very unique topic and a very unique theme. Thank you very much.
Shubh Vilas, I actually thought of this chat because friendship is something that's always intrigued me. I'm an only child. And for me, my friendships have been more like, having siblings. So I've always taken friendship very seriously. Um, and I've always enjoyed the camaraderie of friends. I left for America when I was in my teens. I was in a kind of I won't call it a dormitory, but these very fabulous apartments where all our students lived. And we made lifelong bonds. But in my journey of having lots and lots of friends, one of the main focuses of my column, which I've been now writing for nearly 18 years for Asian Age, Deccan Chronicle, often, Sunday Times, the topic has been friendship. And the reason I've explored the journey of friendship so deeply is because while I've had very beautiful friendships, I've always had questions. And I can't thank my good fortune enough to have you here today to address those questions because you're on your 12th book. um, and before actually I run away with myself, I want to welcome all the audience that's here with us. I love you all. All my Facebook friends, Instagram friends, Twitter friends, Twitterati, that is, LinkedIn. You have been, I don't know if you know, but you've been a great inspiration for me, motivator, like motivators in my life to do this kind of thing because you're there watching. If I disappear for a month, you say, hey, where have you been? We want you to have more such talks. So that for me is a very inspiring thing. And I'm here doing this partly because of you. So a warm welcome to all of you. And I before I continue with the topic of friendship, I want to tell you a little bit of about Shubh Vilas. Shubh Vilas is not only a friend, a mentor, a guide to me, but he's a world-renowned author. He speaks at such august forums like MIT in Massachusetts, in Boston. He speaks at all the IITs in India, in colleges in Europe. He's a motivational speaker, he's an author, but the most charming thing about Shubh Vilas is that he doesn't take himself seriously. He's so approachable and so humble and so much fun to talk to. That please feel free to stream your questions, and I'm going to try. I have Iqbal. I'd like to dedicate a lot of this today to Iqbal, who's my social media partner, who helps me along with a lot of the tech part of it. Iqbal is going to relay the questions to me on whichever platform you post them. So go ahead and post your questions. But I'm quite sure that the huge repertoire of questions I have will answer you. And before we continue, I want to show you some. You know that Shubh Vilas has written a box set of 6 books on the Ramayana, which he's contextualized with real life, with management, with marketing skills, with interpersonal skills, and with communication skills. So when you read these books of his, and I'm going to show them to you, when you read these books, you suddenly find that you're not reading something which we've always considered epics of our country. They are no longer just epics. They are actually contextual. They are not historic. They are contextual to this day and age. And I'm going to show you these books because I'm reading them, and I go back to them if I ever find, I'm not, not all, you know, as perfect as I want to be in my life. So these are his books. They're a cornucopia of, information, of advice, of guidance, and most of all, of inspiration in our work. So I urge you to go to Flipkart, to go to Amazon and get your copy. But now, for the real thing that we are all here for, and this book has just been released. And it's been timed very beautifully with Friendship Day. So, congratulations, many, many congratulations, Shubhalas, for bringing out a book on friendship, which I think is so important in this day and age. Because would you agree, Shubhalas, that COVID has really brought us face to face? These COVID times have brought at least me face to face with the, the transient nature of life. And eventually, all that matters is our friendships, our relationships, love, longevity, support, kindness, compassion, and all the things that really matter. Because what has happened to all those dresses, sunglasses, designer bags? They've all fallen on the wayside. They make no sense. So when crisis hits us, what really comes through is friendship. You're in hospital, you don't reach out for a designer handbag, do you? You reach out for a friend. And the most important thing in these times is that we actually have um, so much loneliness, even though we've got thousands of social media friends. Why, Shubvilas? Why are people so lonely? Why is the virtual world so transient and so nearly, an illusion? Why are people forgetting the tangibility of one-to-one coffee, friendship, a hug, a kiss, sitting together and holding hands? What is the change? What is the reason that we have lost the ability to have real life friendships? Do you blame the bane of social media? Because at one level, it's so great. Today, my friend Lisa Montedero has joined us from Italy. My friend Carola has joined me from London. On the one hand, it's a great thing, and on the other hand, it's a bane. Can you explain this conflict to us, Shubhalas?
Thank you for beginning the session with such a deep question. I really love the way you are thinking and the depth at which you're thinking. Thank you very much for this question. Um,
Thank you.
as you spoke and as you were asking this question, two thoughts came in my mind immediately. The first thought is most people today, the kind of relationships and kind of friendships we make are at max touching the mind. It is not touching the heart. When things are on a superficial level, they excite the mind. But when things are at a deep soul searching level, they touch the heart. So today, friendships are based on externals. And because they are based on such external phenomena, it just titillates the mind at max. Doesn't really touch the heart. The second thought that was in my mind immediately was the ocean. If you see the ocean, there are two aspects to the ocean. The first aspect of the ocean is the superficial, external aspect, which are waves. And sometimes there is a calmness that is there, all around us. But then there is a deep underlying aspect which is often unexplored. And that underlying aspect has such variety, such beauty, and such amazing qualities that often are unaccessed. So in my understanding, friendship is at that two levels. One is at the superficial level where there is continuity, where there is a certain amount of calmness, where there is a certain amount of excitement, but sometimes the depth is missing. And the depth is where the soul searching experiences come out. The depth is where actual heart to heart connections happen. That's my little understanding of the subject.
Shubvilas, we've lost your audio for some reason.
Oh, really?
You've come back. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us the last sentence.
So I said that's somehow what I feel about the concept of friendship at these two levels. You know, the external level and the internal level. The mindful or the not exactly mindful, but the mind level and the heart level, and the superficial level and the in-depth soul searching level.
Right. That's a beautiful explanation. But you know what I found, which was a bit perplexing to me personally, was you know, having been a writer, columnist for the papers, being in a position of some influence. What disillusioned me, you know, initially was what disillusioned me initially was the uh, agenda which often came with friendships. You know, can you do this? Can you get admission for so and so? Can you get me a discount at Taj? Can you help me get this booking? I was getting disillusioned. Was I a friend or was I a stepping stone to connections, networking, what I could bring to the table? Is it just, you know, about, is this age about what you bring to the table? Or is it about, you know, something deeper? What I came to India looking for was I came looking for real bonds of longevity and love and conversation and, you know, seeing a movie together, having a cup of coffee together, having a conversation on friendship like I'm having with you. What disillusioned me was, you know, the tag that came with the friendship. Why was it always, very often, not always, let me take that back. Why was it often about what you brought to the table? And in my relationships, Shubvilas, I've tried to do whatever I wanted to in terms of ambition without piggybacking on any of my friends. You'll very rarely see me posting my picture with very famous people unless it's, you know, for something which is contextual. I want to be Nisha Jamwal because of Nisha Jamwal's hard work and perseverance. I tried to keep the agenda out of my relationships because it was often hurtful to me when I found I was the conduit for so many admissions and you know, getting something done, because I'm one of those people who gets things done. So along the way, I counseled myself that if I do have the wherewithal, why not? Why not be a giving person? But how would you be able to, you know, find real friendships where you can share and have interpersonal relationships rather than, you know, having agendas all the time? How does one seek real heart to heart bonds, Shubvilas?
Thank you again for this amazing question. At the end of my answering the question, I'm going to ask you the question again because I'm sure, because you have been writing so much on relationships and you know, friendships in your columns, and I would really like to know your thoughts on it also. But before I do that, let me answer a little bit. Uh, in one of the chapters of the book, The Magic of Friendship, I speak about three types of friendships. I speak about parasitic friends. Parasitic friendships are those where um, one really sucks the energy from the other. And that's exactly what you've been speaking about. That's
Yes.
called agenda driven friendships, basically. People choose their friends, those who are influential, those who are capable, and those who have achieved a lot. Then there is something known as symbiotic friendships.
Yes.
Symbiotic friendships are where you get something, I get something, and we help each other. That's what we call as interdependence. That is what we call as sharing of strengths. That's what we call as win-win. And that's something very, very important. And most of the friends today, in one sense or the other, are of the symbiotic types. But then there is a third type, which is a little more deeper, and which is a little more um, heartfelt type of friendship, where the idea here is I have nothing, no expectations from you. I'm there to serve you. I'm there to be with you. When you go through your joys, I'm standing next to you and sharing your joys. In fact, when you're happy, I laugh more than you. In fact, when you're sad, I cry more than you. I have no expectations from you because I'm here to serve you. So, this idea of seva, this idea of serving a friend, this idea that friendship is my responsibility. So, it's not about what I expect from my friend, but it's about what I'm there to offer my friend, how I'm there to serve my friend. So, when friendship is driven based on expectations, there is a question of pulling from your friend. But when the friendship is based on desire to serve, the idea is how can I serve this person in a way that I would probably, it's something that I would do for my family member. It's something that I would do for people that I really love and for people who are really important for me. And in that mood of service, friendship actually becomes a responsibility. And in that mood of responsibility, friendship actually becomes deep. And friendship is no more agenda driven, but friendships are real and they are meaningful. I don't know if I really made some sense to you.
Yes,
And
you did.
now,
You did absolutely make sense. I just have a follow-up question to this. Maybe some people who are parasitical friends don't realize they are. So, what would be your one little advice to them as to how to change the dynamic? Because perhaps they have not had that guidance, that's not the way to longevity, that's the way to a short term fix to your life, but it's not a long term succor, the succor and the cushioning that you get from a friendship. So what would that one piece of advice be to you, to all the people watching, as to how to become real friends and quit being parasitical friends?
so I have a survey to offer. There was actually a very interesting survey done of successful people in this world. And the survey divided the most successful people in this world. And it was like a survey of thousands of people actually across the world. And they divided people into three categories: givers, takers, and matchers. Givers are those that who give all the time. Takers are those that grab all the time, and matchers are those that do it tit for tat. And if I give this much, I'll take this much. So that's what the world is basically made up of, these three category of people. And if you really see, so they were wanting to know which of these three are most successful in life. And the survey brought out some really interesting facts and thoughts, which I would like to share here, and that will answer your question. The survey found out that the most unsuccessful people first were the givers, those who constantly just kept giving, basically, the most
Right.
successful people. And naturally, our expectation is that the most successful people will be the takers who are taking all the time. But that's wrong. The most successful people were also givers who are giving all the time. So that means this survey really shocked everybody, because technically the givers should be losers. Givers should
Right.
not be successful. But the survey proved everybody wrong, that it actually showed how the givers were the most successful people also. Yes, when it comes to giving, there has to be some intelligence behind giving. It's not that you do it indiscriminately. But at the same time, when giving is done with from the heart, and when giving is done in a spirit of compassion, in a spirit of genuine upliftment, that giving is the most powerful way to bond into people's hearts.
Right.
Because what really is missing in parasitical friendships is the heart to heart connect. And most parasitical friends, those who keep taking, they don't understand how powerful giving can be to their life, how powerful givers can actually become in society, and how successful givers can actually become. I hope
Uh, yeah,
that helps you.
Shubvilas, we lost you in the last second.
So I said, that really helps us understand how successful givers can become. So when parasitical people understand this, they really will understand that there is another dimension to looking at life. Does it make sense, Nisha
Yes, absolutely. It's absolutely magical. I mean, I loved the way you spoke about, the giver being, maybe the giver sometimes feels a little used, but eventually the giver is the receiver and the person who ends up feeling enriched. Am I right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So here's the thing. I used to have an interesting friend, and I found every party went to of his, he had a new set of friends every year. So his turnover of friends was obviously very, high. My question to you is, what is the? Of course, you've semi-answered this question about being a giver and being a little more, selfless in friendship. But are there any bullet points you'd like to share in term of, for that friend who had a new set of friends every season and was unable to retain his friends from his, Shubvilas, during kindergarten, during school, we are young, we are immature, we learn along the way. Some of us are lucky enough to have friends who forgive us our foibles and we forgive them their foibles. And I'm going to come to forgiveness later because that's a huge part in friendship, But in this context of my friend who I found a very, I found his level of intolerance, and here I'm answering half the question. Was the cause of his new friends every season. He wasn't able to retain his friends. But apart from intolerance and being a giver, are there any bullet points you'd like to share for people who are looking for long term friends and find that they are consistently losing friends?
So, one of the strongest points that really needs to be kept in mind when we develop friends is like-mindedness. We call this as swajatiya. So, the whole idea of like-mindedness is so crucially important to friendship.
I
And to help
see.
you understand this, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm sure you would have heard this story in your childhood, and this is a very famous story of a monkey and a crocodile who became friends. So this was a monkey who was living on top of a tree, and the story is from the Panchatantra, and it's an amazing story. Panchatantra is a book of friendship. It has so many beautiful tales on friendship, which I've also added interspersed in my book. So one story is of this monkey who was living on a tree, which had the most tasty berries, and this monkey was eating so many berries every day. One day, a crocodile came by, and it stood below the tree. So the monkey strongly felt, this is my guest, and I need to take care of my guest. He threw a few berries into the mouth of the crocodile, and the crocodile loved it. And the crocodile was so excited, he wanted more. And then slowly, over a period of time, they connected and they became friends. And then the crocodile would spend hours with the monkey. One day, the wife of the crocodile, she suddenly started having a doubt. Where is this guy missing for so many hours every day? And she asked him, "Where do you go?" And the crocodile said, "I have found a new friend." And then the crocodile got for her berries to eat. She loved the berries, but along with the love that she had for the berries, she had a thought. She thought that if the monkey is eating so many berries, he must be tasting so sweet. So she told the crocodile, "I want the monkey's heart. Get me the monkey's heart." The crocodile said, "Come on, he's my friend. How can we do this to him?" The wife said, "Nothing doing. I want his heart." So the crocodile went to the monkey and he told the monkey that, "I want to take you on a joyride today. Why don't you just jump on my back and we go?" So they went ahead in the river, and they was, they were right in the middle of the river when the crocodile realized the monkey cannot escape. He told him the fact because he didn't want him to get a surprise when he reached home. So he told him that I'm sorry, I'm taking you to my house. My wife wants to eat your heart because she finds that your heart will be really sweet. The monkey said, "Oh, why didn't you tell me? I would have got my heart with me. I left my heart on the tree." And the crocodile really panicked. He didn't know how he's going to deal with his wife, when she realizes that the monkey's heart is missing. So he started sweating right in the middle of the river. The monkey said, "Don't worry, we just go back and I'll get my heart. That's all." The crocodile thought it was a great idea rather than getting beaten up at home. So they turned back, they reached back the tree. The monkey jumped over, went on top of the tree, and then he spoke a shloka. He spoke a very interesting Sanskrit verse. He said, Dadati pratigrinati guhyam akhyati prichati bhungte bojayate chaiva shadvida priti lakshanam. Let me explain in very simple words what it means. He said there are 6 things that enhance friendship. He said, Dadati pratigrinati, giving gifts and accepting gifts. Then he said, Guhyam akhyati prichati, which means sharing your heart, revealing your heart in confidence, and hearing the other person's heart in confidence. And third set is basically it's two, right? And the third thing is inviting your friend to dine, and you being invited to dine in your friend's place. So these 6 things are to be done with people who are like-minded. So this is the advice the monkey gave the crocodile. And he said, unfortunately, I realized we both are not at all like-minded. And because we are not like-minded, our friendship cannot last for beyond a certain point. So the idea here the monkey was trying to convey to the crocodile was that for us, so when he said, I've left my heart behind on the tree, what does it really mean? It's not about physically leaving the heart. It's about where does your heart belong? Your heart is where it belongs. So monkey was saying, my heart belongs there. That means it doesn't belong here. So my heart doesn't belong to this friendship, doesn't belong to this connect because we both are not like-minded. So when I find that people are having a constant change of friendship, a constant iteration of friendship, a constant change of friendship, I realize people had colleagues, what I call as bandhus. Bandhus are not sakhas, and sakhas are not priya sakhas, and priya sakhas are not suhrits. So there are different levels of friendship. So
Right.
the lowest level of friendship, which is bandhus, will keep constantly changing. You will constantly have a lot of change in your associates, your network, your colleagues. You will always have a constant change in it because your job situation is changing, your life situation is changing, you're growing at a rapid rate. So whenever you're going through a transformation, do not expect the same set of colleagues to be around you.
Right.
You always go through a change. But that doesn't happen with Priya Sakhas, those who are really best friends, really heartfelt friends. Because when you have a heartfelt friendship,
Right.
it's about like-mindedness. You
Right.
do not find like-mindedness too much in this world, and that's
Right.
it.
Right. I absolutely agree. So your theory now is that it actually contradicts a very, a common saying, which is that opposites attract.
Okay, you want to continue, or you want me to say something?
No, I want you to tell me that for instance, I'm best friends with my partner, my spouse, and we are completely opposites. I mean, he's a genius from IIT, IIM, and I'm a totally arts. When we first met, he couldn't get over my obsession with contemporary Indian art and traditional indigenous handicrafts. He couldn't understand why we must live around, hundreds of paintings and but works from Bastar and works from Orissa. He couldn't understand my urgency to be surrounded by, whereas he wanted an absolutely empty space. But I'm speaking about my best friend. So while I agree with what you're saying, could it also mean that, the value systems, intrinsic value systems, which I share with my partner, very strongly. The value systems have to be the same. I mean, this is what I'm getting from you. But that the superficial qualities which, are choices in our lives can afford to be different. But the attraction to truth, honesty, spirituality, few things have to be similar. Would you agree?
The way I'll answer it with a very interesting saying.
Please.
When it comes to fashion of this world, when it comes to the trends of this world, flow with the world, or flow with the river, or with the
I
trends of the world. When it
Okay.
comes to fashion, when it comes to trends, when it comes to styles, you flow with the
Right.
trends of this world. But
Right.
when it comes to principles, stand
Yes.
rock steady.
Okay. Brilliant.
So the way I understand it is, when it comes to the most important fundamental understandings of life, there has to be like-mindedness. And I can bet you, no matter how much you all are different on all other levels, but when it comes to the fundamentals of life, you will be exactly the same.
Fabulous. That completely, I mean, puts things so much into perspective. I of course ran away with myself because I had, and I still have many questions for you. But you did mention you wanted to ask me something, so
Yeah.
I'm most willing to answer you.
So I would like to really know from your experience of writing so much and connecting with so many people or at so many different levels. Um, what is the one thing that really intrigues you about your understanding of relationships, your understanding of friendships?
What intrigues me is the absolute purity of the good relationships. The fact that you don't choose your relatives, but you can choose your friends. And that is one of the most magical gifts given to a human being by God, and probably given to fish and animals as well. Because I mean, when you see animals bonding, you sometimes see a cat and a dog bonding. I think that's the most beautiful thing, to see friendship and to experience friendship, to be sitting in a plane and strike a conversation with maybe an 80-year-old man or a 15-year-old young girl sitting next to you. You just strike, and I've been through these experiences, to strike a friendship which is so uncanny and probably not, predictable. To me, the quality of relationships that are beautiful is the most precious thing in the world. And my greatest striving is to be selfless and giving in a friendship. Of course, I'm an eternal learner, so I'm consistently learning along the way. And today I'm sitting here before you, learning so much from you. You're such a great and selfless and kind human being, that it's fabulous. I'm sure everyone sitting here and hearing you is going through a transformative journey. So for me, if you were to ask me, discovering, for instance, the way I discovered the most beautiful person in my life, he and I just met serendipitously at a traffic light. I was
Wow.
racing a car and he was racing a car, and we raced each other on the streets of Delhi. And that's how I met him.
Yeah.
And he is the most beautiful relationship that I ever found. It's intriguing because we just met at a traffic light. So, I mean, life is full of the most magical serendipity if we open our doors. And yet, we often stay in insecure relationships where we have troubled, times, without trusting the Almighty or the powers that be, to that there's something beautiful waiting for us. So, a small message to all the listeners, that if you are in a toxic or a narcissistic relationship with, the opposite sex or whoever your partner is, it's smarter to let go, because something very beautiful is waiting for you. Having said that, Shubh Vilas, I also have you cited a Sanskrit verse, right? I'm going to counter that with, I'm going to say another small little verse, and I want you to tell me your views. I'm going to read it because I may not know it by heart. Rahiman dhaga prem ka, mat todo chutkaye, टूटे पे फिर ना जुड़े, जुड़ के फिर जुड़ जुड़े गांठ पड़ जाए. So Kabir says that a broken relationship can never be retrieved, and yet I have a counter to that. I find that forgiveness is the greatest gift that God has given us, and to be able to forgive and forget and give another chance to a friend or ask for another chance if you've done something you're not proud of, um, is definitely a test of a relationship. I had a beautiful friend called Ame, and I think she misunderstood me and I misunderstood her. And I said sorry, and she, was not willing to accept. And a few months later, she wrote me and she said, you're my sister and I love you. And we are even closer than before. And I think I had misunderstood her, and I was not being fair to her. And today we are even better friends. I mean, she's like a sister to me. So I disagree with Kabir, and I feel that life is full of strife. There are good times, there's bad times, there's PMS, there's prenatal blues, there's postnatal blues. Women have so many myriad moods. Men have work pressures and stress. These things manifest themselves in relationships. Would you agree that one needs to cut some slack? One needs to be forgiving. One needs to be able to ride the rough times. And you only come out stronger, because I have a relative who who stands by the thought that, once something's cracked, it can never fix. And Shubvilas, I've only had the opposite experiences. You coming from a pedestal of a reservoir of knowledge from your learnings, your scriptural learnings, your spirituality. What would your take be on this?
I'm going to quote another verse. And this you will love this.
Please.
This verse says, Narasya Abharanam Rupam. Says among humans, the ornament of a human being is beauty. Narasya, Nara means human, Abharanam is ornament, and Rupam means beauty. So Narasya Abharanam Rupam, so the ornament of a human is beauty. And then it says, Rupasya Abharanam Gunam. Somebody who is beautiful, the ornament of a beautiful person is good qualities. And then it says, Gunasya Abharanam Gyanam. The ornament of somebody who has good qualities is knowledge. And then it says, Jnanasya Avaranam Shama. Somebody who has who has knowledge, the ornament of a knowledgeable person is the ability to forgive.
Yes.
So
we agree on that.
The epitome of beauty, the epitome of humanness is the ability to forgive. And there are so many stories in the scriptures. The Ramayana is filled with just such amazing stories of how even when you cause hurt to someone that you dearly love, it doesn't mean that you don't get a chance to undo the mistake that you have done, undo the hurt that you have caused. And the Mahabharata is filled with so many stories. So these stories really help us understand that, yes, to make mistakes is human, to err is human.
Right.
But at the same time, to forgive is divine.
Yes.
And therefore, the combination of these two. So all of us are imperfect people, but we are imperfect people tending towards perfection.
Right.
All of us are imperfect and all our relationships are imperfect, but it's all imperfection tending towards perfection. So we are all work in progress. So while work is in progress, let's not give up.
Fabulous. So you and I are on the same page that um, we must forgive. And I think that another thing that COVID has taught us is that life is so short. The game could be up tomorrow morning. Let's forgive and let's go back from this, this beautiful chat of ours with a new resolution that we're going to write to all those, you know, unfinished, unresolved relationships that we forgive or we wish to be forgiven. Isn't it?
Absolutely.
To ask for forgiveness does not make you a small person. Shubhilas, I was told at a very young age by my mama, who was one of my best friends. He said, men and women can never be friends. There's always that, that unspoken conflict of a man and a woman, and that chemistry. And I tend to disagree because some of my best friends, one of my best friends is Vinny Mirchandani and Suchetan Pradhan, and they're both males. And they've been my friends for more than 20 years. Why why are there these roadblocks and these preconceived notions in the world? Would you not agree that once your teenage hormones, you're over them? You've moved on to a more mature stage where friendship is about conversation and about spending the evenings of your life together.
I lost your voice in the last 1 or 2 seconds.
Shubhilas, I was saying some of my closest
Yeah,
friends are.
I heard about your friends. Last one sent.
The last sentence is that when you get over your hormones,
Yeah.
You're looking at different things in friendship. So maybe that holds true for maybe teenagers, but as you grow up, I think it's perfectly okay to have many male friends or female friends. And I think the gender ceases to matter. What matters is, like you said, the connect, the chemistry, and the value systems that are on the same page. Would you agree with me?
I would like to tell you a story. Not exactly a story, but more of a fact. But it's a very interesting fact. Um, Draupadi from the Mahabharata, the most amazing woman that lived at that era. Her best friend was Krishna, and she used to call Krishna Sakha, and Krishna used to call her also Sakhi, and they really connected at such a deep level of friendships. And whenever Draupadi was ever in any sort of trouble, she would always remember Krishna. And Krishna was there for her all the time. And interestingly, whenever she was in trouble and she remembered Krishna, he just happened to be around. I'm sure you would agree that so many times we have had friends who remember us when we are actually going through painful situations. They intuitively remember us. They intuitively, think about us. They intuitively message or call us at some point when we really need them. We don't even reach out to them, but sometimes they reach out to us.
Right.
Krishna was such a friend to Draupadi. In fact, their friendship was so strong that eventually Draupadi came to be called as Krishna only. Her name became Krishna. Can you imagine what kind of
Wow.
connections they had? So, if you actually read the scriptures, so many places Draupadi is addressed as Krishna.
Wow. That is absolutely fabulous.
So that's the answer to your question.
Thank you. That's absolutely fabulous. And I think, like I've just received some messages. People are just loving your, scriptural vignettes that you give us, the little insights into such beautiful philosophies because I think the Ramayana and Mahabharata are philosophical books and not religious books at all. So, in fact, one of the things I loved about this book is the allusions that you have. You keep going back to this, the epics, and I just love that about your book. And I really urge each and everyone here to pick up their copy. I think it's so important to explore the philosophy of friendship. Shubhilas, taking off from forgiveness, from our conversation of forgiveness, one of the things that I find the most, if you were to ask me what is the most important quality, it would be to overlook. When you catch hold of dead wood and brown stamps and you persecute your friend, I think that's the worst. That's death for a friendship. And I've written extensively about this, that you need to give a lot of empathy. You need to put yourself in the shoes of your friends. You need to overlook, small, tantrums and mistakes. You need to give a little space. Um, how would you recommend that our our listeners and readers should become a more the to become the kinds of people to overlook?
So I give this analogy of a mirror and a lens. So usually people have very good lenses. So when you have good lenses, you can see clearly. Um, so people use the lenses to see the mistake of others. So when you wear specs, you can see others clearly, right?
Right.
So they become experts in finding faults. And the mirror, it shows about your own self. It shows you your own faults. Unfortunately, when we look at the mirror, we only see good in ourselves. But when we wear the lens and we look at others, we only see bad in them. This is the unfortunate reality. So actually, the opposite should happen. When we look at others, we should learn to see good in them. And when we look at ourselves, we have to learn to see faults in ourselves. So
Beautiful.
when we see good in others, we grow. And when we see fault in ourselves, we grow. But when we see fault in others, we don't grow. We actually, become a little lower than a lower version of ourselves. We lose a
Right.
little more respect towards ourselves. And when we don't see fault in ourselves, we only see good in ourselves. We actually don't improve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. That was a beautiful analogy of lenses and mirrors. I'm going to definitely apply that in my own life. Next time I, find fault in somebody, I'm going to remember the mirror and the lens. Guys, this is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I'm just
And
so enjoying this
the
conversation.
interesting thing is when people, I don't know if you're just in a conversation when people are angry at you, or your friend is angry at you, and they want to tell you something, one of the things that they often say in Hindi is, "आईने में देखो तुम्हारा चेहरा," right? Often people
Absolutely.
say, just look at yourself in the mirror. What does it mean? It means look at your own faults. As simple as that.
Very true. Very true. And Shubhilas, I want to tell you a small story. I was at Loreto Convent as a child. And my best friend in the world was a girl called Deepika. And she was more than a soulmate. I mean, I couldn't get up in the morning without, speaking to her or calling her or visiting, or she'd give me a surprise in my summer holidays. I would open my eyes and she would be standing there, and we would have our cold coffee together. It was a poignant thing that when I was all of, maybe 15 or 16, I became so suffocatingly possessive of her that I lost my friend. And, I lost her because of possessiveness. So I learned the hard way that space is very important. What is the level of balance of being, protective and caring, and yet not being possessive and having a multitude of friends, so that you're not I mean, I learned the hard way that you have to have many friends so that you can be with different friends at different times and not become so incestuously friendly with one person who's your go-to person for everything in the world. So my lesson was that, you look for different mental stimulation, laughter, having a glass of wine with one other friend. So different levels of camaraderie from different people. What is your addition to my learning?
I'll tell you two things. Uh, One is, there's a very interesting quote that I read, which says, friendship is like a bird. If you squeeze it too much, it dies. If you set it free, it flies.
Wow.
Give
I
it
have to
life.
clap. I love it. That was brilliant.
But if you give it love and affection, the bird stays with you. So that balance. So some people squeeze too much, and some people are so free that they don't really have the capacity to hold that friendship. That balance is what is what we're talking about. This entire book, what I've written, is about that balance, striking that balance.
Yes,
I would like to
absolutely.
really talk about another very interesting thought about this concept of possessiveness. So when we say that people are possessive about their friends and possessive about um, what they are striving to protect or have, essentially Mahabharat gives a beautiful analogy, and it's an amazing. You will just love this analogy. Mahabharat has a section known as Vidura Niti, and Vidura Niti has some of the most amazing wisdom in the world. Vidura says a friend should be like a honeybee.
Like a
Honeybee.
honeybee.
Yeah. And your other friends are like flowers. So honeybee, if you see, it goes and sits on a flower, sucks a little honey from one flower, then goes to the next flower, takes a little honey from the second flower, goes to a third flower, takes a little honey from the third flower. You will never find a honeybee sitting on one flower, sucking so much honey that the flower dies. A friend is supposed to be sensitive towards the needs, interests, and concerns about of his friend, and treat friends like flowers.
Right.
But treat friends like the way honeybee treats flowers.
Wow. Wow. So when Sudama, I'm sorry, we lost your last sentence in the audio.
I said so we should treat friends like the way honeybee treats flowers.
Absolutely. Brilliant. And that brings me to a very interesting story. Yes, absolutely. So that brings me to a very interesting story, Shobvilas,
Yeah.
of when Sudama's wife wired him up to go and ask Krishna
Yeah.
for money and for business and for commerce. Um, he went there and he realized that he was so foolish because no amount of money can actually substitute the joy and the joie de vie of friendship. So, what exactly is your take on commerce and business? Now, one of my closest friends in the world is a lady called Lisa Ray. She's been a friend for many, many years, a very successful actor and a model and a lovely person. And we loved each other so much that we launched a business called Art Ages for art. And we had a very successful art business. And then she shifted out of the country, and we stayed in touch. She's still the closest, one of the closest friends I have in the world. Um, and yet every single book and every single person you meet says that commerce and business are the sure shot death knell for a friendship. Can you revive the tale of Krishna and Sudama and tell me your take on this?
So when Sudama was going to Krishna's Dwarka to meet Krishna, meet his best friend. So there was a very interesting discussion that happened between Sudama and Krishna. When Sudama came in, Krishna immediately recognized him. He, in fact, made him sit on his own bed. He started massaging the feet of Sudama and he started washing the feet of Sudama. His wife, Rukmini, was fanning Sudama. So Sudama was just so bewildered with the kind of love and affection that they are sharing that Sudama was feeling embarrassed. That I came here to ask Krishna for wealth, and he was embarrassed that I came for the wrong reason. And look at the amount of love that Krishna has. And the interesting thing is, Krishna never asked Sudama, "Do you need anything?" Krishna felt it is embarrassing to talk about money with Sudama. It is embarrassing to talk about, that the fact that I can give something to Sudama. So they just kept conveniently that part aside from their discussions, and they discussed everything else. And Krishna,
Right.
he asked him, "What did you get for me?" And Sudama held out that small little packet of poha, chipped rice, flat rice that was brought from four different houses. He begged from four different houses and brought it all together. And Krishna, when he ate that, he said, "I have never tasted anything better than this." Now imagine, this
Wow.
is the king of Dwarka saying this. What is he talking about? Is he talking about the taste of the food? He's not talking about, he's talking about the love with which Sudama got it. So, from Sudama and Krishna's point of view, their love was much higher than the wealth or any discussions on wealth. And when Sudama was
Right.
leaning back, he was going back with a thought in his mind, because Krishna didn't give him anything. And he didn't ask Krishna anything. And while going back, he had one thought in his mind. He thought, why did Krishna not give me anything? The one thought that he had was, maybe Krishna felt that if he gives me anything, I will not be able to value, or rather, I will not be able to be myself when I have that kind of wealth. So Krishna wanted me to be the way I am. And Sudama had so much gratitude while going back, thinking that thank God I didn't ask anything, and thank God Krishna didn't give me anything. And he said, now our friendship is as it is, untouched by anything selfish. And then when he reached there, when he reached back to his house, he saw instead of his house, there was a massive palace there. So Krishna gave, but he gave not in a way that didn't embarrass Sudama, and it gave in a way that didn't embarrass him. Because from Krishna's point of view, if I give a friend anything, it's actually going to embarrass him and the friendship itself. So that's the whole mood of both these personalities.
Wow. That does make sense. It's actually a relationship that should not entertain commerce.
Ideally,
Yeah.
and even if there is some commerce involved in the friendship, there has to be very clear cut discussions and clarity, so
Right.
that doesn't disturb the friendships. Like I know
Right.
of two business people from Calcutta who are some of the most successful business people. They became friends when they were in kindergarten, in school together, and they grew together, they studied together, and they actually started their business together, and they became business tycoons together, and they are now 80 years old, and both of them are like 80. They're both married, and their families also growing together. It's best of friends all life long, did business all life long together. It's not that you cannot do business, but it's just that business shouldn't interfere with friendship. The purity of that friendship is something else, and we shouldn't allow anything as mundane as wealth and money to come in between it.
And that brings us also to what we discussed about resolution.
Yeah.
That you have to be larger and bigger of heart and be able to circumvent the any misunderstanding, because like the story of Sudama and Krishna, friendship is way more precious than any commerce or monetary
Gain.
spoils.
Yeah.
So my last question for this beautiful interactive rencontre is that you don't take wealth and material comforts with you once you transcend the human flesh and blood body, right?
Absolutely.
Do you take your friends beyond the flesh? Do relationships and do bonds that are truly, and not the, the networking types that you spoke of, if I'm not wrong, called bandhus, right?
Correct.
I don't mean the bandhus, but I mean the real heartfelt bonds where you shared, all the good, bad, and the ugly, or the skeletons in your life with somebody. Those bonds, do they go beyond the human state?
I'll answer this question in a very simple by asking you a question. Uh, have you ever come across someone, the moment you met that person, you felt that I always knew this person?
Yes, always. In fact, I must tell you, nearly 90% of my relationships are with people who I feel very drawn to, and I instantly have an inexplicable connect to, and I feel so bonded to, and those bonds have stayed for many, many years.
That's your
Definitely.
answer. That's your answer. And it's you and it's not something that only you have that experience. All of us have that experience. And that's the reality of life also. With some people, you just cannot explain why you connect so well. And there are some people, no matter how many years pass, you don't feel that connection. Right. So that's exactly
Absolutely.
what we're talking about.
That's absolutely. This has been such a magical interaction, Shubhalas. I really feel a sense of real loss that we are at an end of a beautiful rencontre. But thanks to technology, it's going to be there forever, captured in the capsules of all the platforms we are at. The recordings are there for everyone to see. For all of you who missed it, please like, share, and subscribe. And you can watch the recording. And don't forget to buy your copy, because what we've discussed is the crust, is we've just about scratched the surface of what is to be the most beautiful journey for you. A quick, easy read for you to get more out of your friendships, and most of all, to give more to your friendships. And of course, I can only recommend very highly the box set of 5 or 6 Ramayan, books, which I showed you at the outset. And for all of you who joined late, Shubhalas has written these books on the Ramayan, and I very urgently had him send them to me before this chat, because I wanted to share this cornucopia, because I know a lot of the people who are there on this chat are very, very close friends of mine. And I want to share this knowledge, because I think the greatest gift I could give to my friends is the repertoire of knowledge that I'm enjoying. Shubh Vilas, thank you for such insightful, such in-depth answers that you've given. I think they are the kinds that metamorphose lives.
Thank you very much, Nisha ji. I'm really, really honored and grateful to be on this session and discussion with you. I still remember the first time I met you in an event, and after that we had a little small conversation. And I still remember, how we really connected, and I felt that there's something that we can go a little deeper in terms of how we can share this with the knowledge of the world, and especially what you experienced about the Ramayana. I still remember the way you were so intensely listening, and that's exactly how you're doing it today. And that's something that really shows the eagerness and the desperation for you to learn. All of us, as you said, we are all lifelong learners, but most
Yes,
people they remove the elbow of their life. Most people remove the elbow as soon as they feel that they've learned enough, but we should
very true.
always have the elbow on.
That is so true, Shobhilas, and so brilliantly put. You are truly a wit. The reason we are having this chat is because you talked about the first time we met. I was there hearing I came to oblige a friend, and I sat there thinking that I have to pass half an hour. And I was riveted by the way you spoke about Krishna, and the way you spoke about Ram, and the way you took us into the lives of these great epic characters. and you made us, understand how contextual it is into, to our day-to-day lives. I'm truly grateful to the universe for bringing you into my life. And on behalf of all the, friends who are here with us today, hearing you and, so kindly there to always inspire and motivate me on these talks. A big thank you from Shubh Vilas and me. Thank you for being there. Lots of love and a very happy Independence Day to you. I hope you can continue to serve this nation and continue to believe in India and be there for our country. Stay Atmanirbhar and stay friends with the beautiful people in your life, and overlook.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Iqbal, are you shutting the streaming? We need to shut the stream. Yeah, shut all the streaming.